me now Brit Hume, Fox News senior political analyst. Brit, what do you make of all this?
Well, my first thought is I'm surprised that this article was written, this anonymous article, but I'm not really very surprised to hear that this sort of thing is going on. I think we've all kind of known for quite a long time that advisors around the president often have to encourage him not to do the things that he, in his most volcanic moments, decides he wants to do. We've also known that he changes his mind sometimes several times before he makes a decision. So, I don't find it reassuring that this got written this way, because it seems so flagrantly disloyal. On the other hand, if you're worried about Mr. Trump and whether he's going to do the right things, you might be comforted to know that there are people around him who seem successfully able to restrain him when he's about to do something that might not work out well at all. And, the author here points out that there are a lot of good things have happened.
Yeah.
And he says that we shouldn't attribute them to Mr. Trump, that they've occurred in spite of him, not because of him. But one thing is unmistakably true, Martha. None of those things would have happened if he hadn't won the general election.
Well, exactly. And you tweeted as much in terms of what you just said, that perhaps, people who are concerned about the president should be comforted that there are people around him who are trying to perhaps contain him in some ways. However, this is when I went back and read this again, there's so much arrogance in this op-ed.
Yeah. Well, the desire to take the credit.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like, don't worry, we got it under control. I'm thinking, wait, you weren't elected,
yeah.
But this person was, for better or worse. And they say there are bright spots that the near ceaseless negative coverage of the administration fails to capture.
Exactly.
Effective deregulation, historic tax reform, more robust military, and more. But these successes come despite, not because of the president's leadership style. It seems to me it's pretty difficult to wholly separate those things.
No, I think that's right. And I also think this is, in some respects, of a piece with what the juicy parts of the Bob Woodward book that came out yesterday indicate, that you have these members of the administration that surround the president grumbling about his ways. I have no doubt, Martha, that this is an exceedingly complicated and difficult president to work for.
No doubt.
And that he, from time to time, has ideas. I mean, tonight, putting out a tweet suggesting treason. I'm sorry, this may have been disloyal, but writing this op-ed piece in no way meets the definition of treason. It would have been nice if somebody could have restrained him from that. On the other hand, it's just a damn tweet, right?
Which we've come to learn, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you think about some of the things that used to get people excited in the past. I do think that we've all come to sort of this different level of tolerance.
And every week, it seems, there's some new explosive development that's going to mean the beginning of the end, and yet the administration moves on. The news cycle is faster and more intense than it ever was. I suspect that this will all blow over before very long. There'll be something else to be excited about.
Reading it again, you look for sort of tea leaves of where this person's coming from and who it could be, just because it's sort of an interesting parlor game to try to figure it out. And they go on about Senator McCain at the end. And we all know that President Trump was no big fan of Senator McCain. He made that pretty clear. But it talks about, following his example, a lodestar for restoring honor to public life and national dialogue. Mr. Trump may fear such honorable men, but we should revere them.
Well, yeah, he can revere all the honorable men he wants, but how honorable was it to write this op-ed?
Yeah.
That's the question I have.
It is a question.
He wants to alert the country and say that Mr. Trump is unfit and too volatile to hold the office. Then he ought to stand up and say so. He or she ought to stand up and say so, and let people see who it is.
And quit,
we'll
probably,
find out
right?
just how senior the person is. I got to say this. Republican administrations that I've covered for a long time have always had a bit of trouble getting control of the government around them, because, look, the government, particularly the career government officials who constitute nearly all of them, tend to be Democrats. That's why they're working in the government. And there are a lot of ones that could be described as senior. So I don't know that we'll ever find out who this is.